Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy, and as a continuation of our prior episode, now going to address how the Idaho Supreme Court ruled in the matter of the Associated Press et al. Versus the Second Judicial Circuit. If you would like to look at everything that was filed in that case, it's docket number 50482. It was filed in 2023, and the petitioners, those were the people or the entities that were seeking relief, was the Associated Press et al. It was a coalition of media representatives that gathered together and that were pleading their case directly to the Idaho Supreme Court that the Idaho Supreme Court should issue a writ of mandamus or prohibition against the Second Judicial Circuit. They claimed that the Second Judicial Circuit, it's a magistrate court, Judge Marshall overstepped her boundaries, they claimed, in issuing that amended non-dissemination order, and they wanted the Supreme Court to do something about it. The Supreme Court ruled 5-0 against the Associated Press and other members of the media. They framed the issue here that what the petitioners had to do in order to get relief, which they failed to do, was satisfy a two-prong test. First, they had to satisfy the Supreme Court of Idaho that they had standing. What is standing? This means you just can't barge in a proceeding and give your opinions and ask a court, whether it is a district court or in this case, Supreme Court, to enter a ruling granting you the relief that you're asking for without showing you have standing to do so. Now, if this was Mr. Koberger who was bringing this matter, he certainly has standing because he's the defendant in the case, but these are other parties. This is the media. The Supreme Court, however, found that the media satisfied their burden of proving and showing that they had standing. The court concluded that based on the wording of the order, the petitioners had sufficiently alleged a potential injury resulting from a, quote, diminished ability to receive speech and effectively gather news. And what does the media do? The media, the members of the coalition here, were covering the Koberger case, and they're arguing that under the First Amendment and under the Constitution of the state of Idaho, both, there is a right to speech and to the press that was being violated here. That was their argument. So, Supreme Court did find that they had standing, but where they failed was the second prong. They needed to, according to this ruling, show that they had exhausted all remedies. That they had, for instance, gone to the district court and Judge Marshall denied them any relief. They failed to do so here, and the Supreme Court reminded the world by failing to pursue a remedy from the magistrate court. And this is the court that issued the non-dissemination order, specifically Judge Megan E. Marshall. Before pursuing an extraordinary remedy from this court, petitioners have forgotten that we are, quote, the court of last resort in Idaho, not the court of first resort. So what they should have done was they should have gone to Judge Marshall first before going to the Supreme Court. What happened next? Well, we know that the Idaho Supreme Court has now denied this case. It is deemed closed in the Supreme Court. So we're going to find out what the petitioners did in the magistrate court, in the court that's pending before Judge Marshall, beginning in the next episode of this series. For now, this is Kathy. Thank you very much for joining us here at the Indie Zone.